Germany. Yeah, that Germany, the place where some of the best cars in the world are made, just fired a serious shot at Elon Musk. And I'm not talking about some online petition or a few angry tweets. I'm talking boycotts, legal pressure, factory chaos, and a brutal collapse in Tesla's sales. It's like watching a heavyweight walk into the wrong neighborhood and get blindsided. One minute, Tesla's on top of the world, and the next, the country that was supposed to be its European stronghold is shutting the doors on him. Fast. And get this, it's not just about EVs. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes here. Unions are raging, politicians are posturing. Musk is, well, doing what Musk does best, throwing gas on the fire with his usual online jabs. But this time, it's not Silicon Valley he's messing with. It's the German auto world. And they don't play around. Stick around, because what's happening over there might just be the biggest international threat to Tesla we've seen in years. And it's all unraveling fast. So here's what went down. And this happened quick. Just recently, some of Germany's biggest labor unions and political figures started publicly turning on Tesla. We're talking about IG Metall, the most powerful union in the country, flat out calling for resistance against Elon's Berlin Gigafactory. Not just resistance, they're using words like boycott, violation, and exploitative practices. And if you know anything about Germany, when the unions start barking, the government usually listens. Why are they so riled up? For starters, they claim Tesla's breaking the country's labor culture. See, in Germany, workers' rights are sacred. Long breaks, proper overtime, safety, it's all baked into their industrial DNA. But Tesla? They came in like it was Silicon Valley. Fast pace, heavy automation, low union involvement, and almost zero transparency. And that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, real quick. Then came the protests. Activists outside the Gigafactory. Local politicians making noise. Even some workers inside the plant allegedly leaking complaints about unsafe conditions and burnout-level pressure. One insider claimed it felt like Amazon, but with robots and car parts. Now, this ain't just some angry fringe group making noise. When the German unions go after you, they do it with lawyers, media pressure, and serious political backing. And Tesla? Right now, they're in the crosshairs. Now here's the thing people forget. Germany wasn't just another pin on Tesla's global map. This was supposed to be the crown jewel of their entire European expansion. Musk didn't just build a factory there for fun. The Berlin Gigafactory was meant to be a statement. We're not just playing in Europe, we're dominating. It was his flex to say, hey BMW, hey Audi, move over. Think about the symbolism here. Germany is the birthplace of the internal combustion engine, home of the Autobahn. The same country where Mercedes invented the modern car and where Porsche made speed an art form. So when Elon announced Gigafactory Berlin, it was like Tesla planting its flag right in the middle of enemy territory. And for a minute, it looked like it might work. German consumers, known for being picky as hell about cars, were actually starting to warm up to the whole Tesla vibe. The minimalist design, the tech, the torque, younger buyers especially were jumping on board. But now, that momentum's taking a nosedive. And it's not just sales, it's trust. In a country where precision and ethics still matter in manufacturing, Tesla's entire approach is starting to feel off, like it doesn't fit. That whole move fast and break things motto? Yeah, not the vibe in a country that worships long-term engineering and organized labor. So yeah, Germany mattered, a lot. And the fact that things are unraveling here, that's not just a bump in the road. It's a full-on warning sign that Tesla's global image might be cracking. So, on the surface, this all looks like a classic labor dispute. Unions upset, workers overworked, Musk being Musk. But if you dig a little deeper, there's something way more unsettling going on. See, a lot of this heat isn't just about labor conditions. It's about data. And in Germany, that's sacred ground. Here's the scoop. German officials and consumer advocates have been quietly raising concerns about Tesla's cars acting like rolling surveillance systems. Those little cameras on the outside of every Tesla? Yeah, they're not just there for lane detection, they're constantly recording pedestrians, license plates, even private property. And Germany's not cool with that. The country's data privacy laws are some of the strictest in the world. And there's growing paranoia that Tesla is collecting way more than it should. There's even been chatter from lawmakers about whether this tech could violate GDPR rules. Some are calling it Silicon Valley spyware on wheels. And it gets even weirder. Police departments in certain regions have reportedly asked whether Tesla footage could be used in investigations. That freaked people out. Suddenly, it's not just about buying a car. It's about whether that car is spying on your neighborhood. So, yeah, the labor angle is what's making headlines. But this data controversy? That's the quiet undercurrent fueling the fire. It's about control, surveillance, and whether Germany wants its roads filled with American-made black boxes sucking up information. And when a country as privacy-obsessed as Germany starts getting nervous about your product, that's not just bad press, that's potentially game over. Now, if Elon thought the boycotts and privacy backlash were the only things going wrong, well, welcome to Gigafactory Berlin, where the problems start before you even hit the front gate. From the jump, this place has been a magnet for drama. Environmental protests held up construction for months. People literally chained themselves to trees trying to block the build. Why? Because the factory sits near a protected forest and water supply, and the locals weren't thrilled about bulldozers showing up with barely any notice. But the drama didn't stop once the place opened. Inside the factory, reports started leaking out about crazy working conditions, high pressure, long shifts, and barely any time for proper breaks. Some employees even called it Silicon Valley on steroids, not in a good way. A few whistleblowers claimed workers were being pushed so hard that basic safety steps were skipped. Stuff like overheating, machinery malfunctions, and not enough emergency protocols. And in a country that takes worker safety very seriously, that's a massive red flag. Even the plant's output has been rocky. Musk promised 500,000 cars a year. But right now, nowhere near that. Delays, supply chain hiccups, and a workforce that's not exactly feeling the love. The final punch? There's talk that local regulators might reconsider permits if Tesla doesn't clean up its act. That's not just a slap on the wrist. That could shut down entire production lines. So yeah, the Gigafactory was supposed to be Elon's European stronghold. But right now, it's looking more like a powder keg. And it's getting harder and harder to ignore the smoke pouring out of it. Now, if you thought Elon Musk was going to sit quietly while Germany flipped the script on him, yeah, you clearly haven't met Elon. Because instead of playing it cool or doing some polished PR cleanup, he went full troll mode. Right after union leaders started calling for a boycott, Elon jumped on X, yeah, the platform formerly known as Twitter that he literally owns, and started firing off jabs like he was in a meme war. One post showed a robot assembly line with the caption, "Robots don't strike." Another showed a worker sleeping on a Tesla couch with the words, "Union breaks? We take power naps." Some folks laughed. Others, especially in Germany, were not amused. Local officials accused him of mocking their entire labor system. One even called him a tech cowboy who thinks he's above the law. But Elon didn't stop there. In classic fashion, he started doubling down, bragging about automation, reposting stats about Tesla's productivity, even hinting that Germany was just afraid of change, that legacy automakers and union leaders were teaming up to protect the old guard. And look, there might be some truth buried in there. But when your company's under fire and your factory's hanging by a thread, maybe posting memes about lazy workers isn't the play. It's the Elon effect. He either electrifies a situation or pours gasoline all over it. And this time, it's looking like the latter. Because that defiant attitude, it just added fuel to a boycott that was already gaining momentum. All that noise? The boycotts, the factory mess, the meme battles, it's not just making headlines, it's hitting Tesla where it actually hurts, the sales numbers. Over the last quarter, Tesla's market share in Germany has dropped off a cliff. According to auto industry tracking firms, registrations of new Teslas in the country are down over 30%, and that's just in the last few months. Meanwhile, German EV makers like Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes are quietly bouncing back. And they're doing it with homegrown government support and some very generous buyer incentives. Basically, Germany's telling its people, why buy a Tesla when you can get a slick new ID.4 or an electric BMW and get a fat tax break while you're at it? It's working. Domestic EV sales are climbing. Tesla's? Not so much. And get this, it's not just sales. Reports show Tesla's brand reputation in Germany has taken a nosedive. Public perception polls went from cutting-edge tech to exploitative outsider practically overnight. That kind of image collapse is brutal, especially in a market where trust and tradition still matter. Investors are noticing too. After news of the labor clash and sales decline started spreading, Tesla's stock dipped sharply, not just because of Germany, but because it signals something bigger. Tesla might be losing its grip on Europe. This isn't just a PR problem. This is a money problem. And for a company that's betting everything on global EV domination, bleeding out in one of the most important car markets on Earth, that's a wake-up call nobody saw coming this fast. Now here's where things get even more serious. Because Germany? It might have just lit the fuse. But the blast zone? It's already starting to spread. Other countries in Europe are watching this mess very closely. Just days after the German unions made noise, labor groups in France and Norway came out with their own statements, calling for increased scrutiny of Tesla's practices. In France, there's talk of launching an inquiry into Tesla's labor model. And in Norway, a country where EVs dominate the road, union leaders are questioning whether Tesla should receive the same incentives as other automakers. It's not just unions either. Politicians across the EU are starting to ask tough questions. How is Tesla collecting data? Are they respecting worker rights? Should they be held to the same standards as European manufacturers? And if Brussels steps in, that's a whole new level of heat. The European Union has the power to regulate trade, data privacy, and even factory operations across the bloc. If they decide Tesla's overstepping, whether with surveillance concerns or labor practices, they could slam the brakes on expansion across the entire continent. Meanwhile, back in the US, investors are sweating. Because if Europe starts turning against Tesla, that's a massive slice of the company's global market share at risk. And Wall Street doesn't like uncertainty, especially not when it's coming from an entire continent. So, yeah, Germany might have been the first domino. But the rest of Europe? They're wobbling now too. And if they fall, Tesla's looking at a continental crisis. One factory, one tweet, and one boycott at a time. Here's the million-dollar question. Is this just a rough patch for Tesla? Or the start of something way worse? Because if you take a step back and look at the whole picture, it's not pretty. Musk built his empire on disruption, on being the loudest, boldest, most aggressive name in the room. And for years, it worked. He beat the odds, slapped the old-school automakers around, and turned a niche EV brand into a global beast. But Europe, and especially Germany, was never going to be an easy win. This isn't California. This is a place where unions are embedded in the DNA of industry, where privacy laws are treated like gospel, where the people driving the cars actually care about the company behind the badge. And now, that entire foundation is cracking. The Gigafactory is under fire. The unions are sharpening their knives. Sales are falling. And the Elon playbook, the memes, the trolling, the doubling down, it's backfiring hard. Could Tesla bounce back? Maybe. Elon's pulled off some wild comebacks before, but this time feels different. This isn't just a tech problem or a PR blip. It's a full-on cultural rejection from the very country that was supposed to anchor Tesla's presence in Europe. So yeah, this could be the beginning of something much bigger. Maybe not the end of Tesla, but definitely the end of its untouchable reputation overseas. So here we are. The empire that once looked unstoppable just hit a wall in the heart of Europe. And the message from Germany? Loud and clear. You can build the fastest EVs in the world, but if you don't respect the rules of the road, their road, you're not welcome. It's not about horsepower anymore. It's not even about the tech. It's about culture, trust, and whether Elon Musk can actually play by someone else's rules for once. Because if Germany becomes the model for how Europe treats Tesla going forward, the ripple effect could be massive. But hey, this is Elon we're talking about. Maybe he pulls another rabbit out of the hat. Or maybe for the first time, he's truly outmatched. Either way, what happens next? You won't want to miss it.